All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. Now, I'm looking into the Finder and I'm realizing I'm wearing a green shirt. Now, if the green shirt messes up my green screen, I'm not gonna reshoot this. So you guys are just gonna be looking at me in front of a sheet that's hanging on the wall until my real green screen gets here. So deal with it, okay? If that's what you're looking at, deal with it. And if it's not that, then it turns out that this kind of green is cool with a green screen. So, this video is off to a really good start. Anyway, so we are going to talk about a few things here today. We're going to talk about some new developments in the Joshua, Fabia, and Diego thing. I want to talk first, though, about where I think this is going for Diego, and I think we're headed towards a happy ending if certain things don't happen that would require that little weasel to really jam things up. I want to talk about the media coverage. I want to talk about Chael Sonnen talking about the media coverage. I want to talk about all that stuff. And then I want to talk about a new accusation that Josh Fabia and his school of self-awareness people made against another fighter throwing fights, okay? This is not clickbait. I'm telling you right now. I'm gonna put the screenshots into this video so you guys will see for yourself, because they again accused a very prominent fighter of throwing a fight in a ludicrous, absolutely absurd accusation, and the evidence that they provided was so stupid and completely not real that it's just, I like making these videos about Fabia funny. I just don't think this stuff's funny anymore. Like, we're past funny to where now this is actually kind of serious, and I'll explain why I think that. So anyway, if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. Now, I want to talk first, I want to talk about a good thing, right? I want to talk about Diego breaking free, where I think this is going, kind of where he's at, etc. Because I did the Summer Helene podcast last night, and they had been in contact with Diego, so I got a little bit of insight into like where his head is at in terms of what he wants to do next. And the more I've thought about it, just kind of like marinating on this entire issue, I see where this should probably go if certain things line up and then one major thing doesn't happen. So here's the deal. I think that Diego deserves an incredible swan song. Like, I think that the end of this needs to be him getting a big fight. I mean, and when I say big, I don't mean like some major, like super risky opponent, right? I'm talking about like a big featured bout, like either co-main event or like right before the co-main event on a pay-per-view card, where this saga leads to Diego's like redemption story, comeback after all this. Can you imagine his entrance when he comes into that fight? Like, seriously, think about that. Like, for real, think about it. Diego, he mends fences with the UFC. They make a public statement, whatever. He gets booked for a fight, and then everyone knows this is for real his last fight this time. Now, think about what it would have been like had he just like fought his last time against Cowboy, right? Like, he would have come out and been like this, the announcers would have been like, this Diego Sanchez, a UFC legend in his final fight, and everyone would be like, yeah, like, cool, like, had some great memories with this guy, rock and roll. Imagine how it'll feel now, right? Like, for real, if there's a, not even if, here is the enormous silver lining of this entire incident if this plays out like this, okay? Diego's swan song fight, if this plays out right, will be an enormous event. Like, it'll capture the attention of the entire MMA community, and everyone will be rooting for him. He is a sympathetic figure in all of this, okay? Like, I realize I broke his balls pretty hard in the first couple videos that I did about this, and I can talk about that in a second, but for now, the bottom line is everyone is sympathetic to Diego, right? And Diego deserves a big like, event that is his final fight. And I genuinely believe that if they put that fight together, when he gets announced and he comes out and he's got his his face on, I think the crowd will stomp their feet so hard and so loud they might bring the stadium to the ground. Like, I think it'll be like goosebumps even thinking about it. Like, and everybody watching at home, it'll be like, damn, man. At least if you're wired like me, okay, that's how I would interpret it. Would be like glorious, like the greatest thing ever to a guy who deserves it, who hit a rough patch, all that stuff, and now he really is going to get the send-off that he deserves, that he wouldn't have had otherwise. So like, all of this shit that's happened, which I would say is objectively bad across the board, might actually not be bad in the long run if he can mend fences with Dana and get the Swan Song fight, because that would be incredible, man. Like, seriously, just think about it, dude. Like, think about what that's going to be like. Oh my God. So that's what I hope happens. And I think that should happen, assuming that something I'll talk about in a second doesn't happen. But, so again, I mean, if Diego or Diego's people end up seeing this, because I actually think that they are kind of following, some of the content that either I've been doing, or I know they were following Summer Helene's podcast last night, just reach out to Dana, man. Like, he's made it very clear. His cell phone is open to you. Just call him and just say, look, this was this guy. Let's just wash the slate. I want my final fight. I'll sign whatever waiver that you guys want, that I'm not going to sue the UFC after this. This was all him. Like, I'm out of that now, and I want my final fight. They'll give it to him, dude. They will give it to him. So that's my suggestion. Now, I know that they're pushing this, the hashtag Diego and Conor, like Conor versus Diego. And Summer was talking about that on the podcast last night, and I was like, I'm not, like, look, man, like I said on the podcast, I don't know if anybody listened to it, but what I said on the podcast, I understand where Diego's at. Like, I genuinely, you think I don't, but I do. Okay. I've been in a position where I felt like I had no options, where basically the way I was earning money to support my family vanished. And it was because the industry that I was in, like, got regulated out of existence, right? It's a long story. But I've been there. I know that fear. Feeling like you're the only thing that you can demonstrate value in is not there anymore. And that's what he feels like fighting right now, right? And he is looking for a gigantic payday in his last fight, right? So he's like, I got to get the Conor fight. And given the circumstances of where he's at right now, I'm sure he's like emotionally grasping at straws, right? And he's thinking like, okay, well, if I could just get this Conor fight, I could make $2 million for the fight and everything will be fine. And that probably seems like this, this lifeline that he can hold on to. And it's probably really important to him that he gets that fight. Here's the thing. You're not going to get that fight. You're not going to get that fight. That's not going to happen. Okay. And I'm not saying that to be a dick. I'm saying it because this is the thing that I am. Okay. You want to go and kind of check track records with people on predicting outcomes of fights and all that. I'll never throw myself in the top percentage of those at all. But what I'm bulletproof on is this, okay? Is this person going to get this fight? What's the UFC going to do? Now, this should not be, like, I don't need to, like, tout my own horn on this. It's obvious to anyone who understands the business. There's no scenario where Conor and Diego are going to fight, okay? That's not going to happen. Dana's not going to make that fight. He's not going to do it. You're asking him to basically take the most valuable asset that he has and just, like, loan him to Diego with, damn the torpedoes to what the implications are for Conor's career. He's not going to do that. It's not going to happen, okay? That doesn't mean that you can't get a decent payday on your way out and a glorious exit and set yourself up nicely for the next chapter of your life, which is not going to be the same as it's been before. You're not going to be, going in and fighting and getting $250,000 in one hit. And then, I don't know when the next thing's coming. You might end up with a more stable life soon, but just focus outside of that paradigm. Look, go work at be a jiu-jitsu trainer. Go do seminars, man. Like, you are one of the most exceptional jiu-jitsu practitioners, like, in the world. People would for sure. I mean, like, it doesn't matter what kind of weird shit you do. Jiu-jitsu is a fucking zero-sum game. Like, this angle, move your knee here, it's going to tighten it up. Like, all the stuff you can impart that wisdom on other people, and you can make money doing that more consistently than, fighting in the UFC. And there's all kinds of other shit that he can do, man. Like, he's a spiritual guy. He can, start retreats or work for a company that does ayahuasca retreats. Who knows? Like, he's got a future that's outside of fighting, but that Conor fight's not happening. Like, I'm just telling you that right now. That fucking fight's not happening. Okay. Like, so don't let that be the thing that you think is like, oh, well, if I don't get the Conor fight, then I'm not doing whatever. Like, you're not getting the Conor fight. So reframe what you're trying to get out of this. And what you should be trying to get is one last big fight, probably very similar pay to what you had in the last one, if not exactly the same, and get an opponent that you can beat, entrance, stomping feet, and go fucking win, and go win your last fight. That should be what you're visualizing. Conor, it's not happening, dude. Like, that's not gonna happen. But yeah, anyway, that's that. So now the other thing, the thing that I was talking about where I was like, hopefully this doesn't happen is, so Chael Sonnen did a video about, about Josh, well, about the MMA media, and basically said that anybody who releases any of this like kind of backdoor information that Josh Fabia is peddling around, they're gonna have to deal with Chael. And I would look, I'm obviously not Chael Sonnen, okay, but I've got a growing channel too, you know. Like, I have a growing channel that is going to be a very big channel, and I'm pretty funny if I want to fuck with someone. Go back and look at my videos that I did around Josh Fabia and see how deep my dick was in his fucking ass. He was choking on my cock. It was that deep up his ass throughout all of those videos. And I'm just going to throw this out as a threat to anybody. Like, I found out yesterday that Josh is distributing information that A, he shouldn't have access to, B, anyone who's not a complete sociopathic lunatic would never share about a person, especially someone that trusted them and defended them like Diego did. And if it were up to Josh, this information would already be out. Okay, like he has given this stuff to media outlets, and they are choosing to not distribute it because they have ethics and scruples. Okay, so what I'm saying, and I would imagine now, knowing that, like knowing the shit that they're putting out there that I would never fucking talk about, and I would imagine it's possible that Josh sent that same shit to Chael, and that's why Chael did the video where he was like, if anybody posts this, you're gonna have to deal with me. And I actually don't know the exact details of what the stuff is because I didn't want to know. I was like, don't even tell me. Like, but it's stuff that very clearly should not ever be distributed by anyone. I don't give a fuck if Josh sends it to you. If you do it for clicks, I'll fucking bury you. I'll make you my fucking hobby, you know? Anybody who posts any of that shit, any personal shit between his family or anything like that, I will make you my fucking hobby. That information should never, ever see the light of day. And Fabia is a fucking weasel, man. Like, I know I've made these videos like funny, you know, and part of me was like, you know, he's this little fucking guy, man. He's 5'1", okay? Now, let me actually rewind. So part of the reason why I think early on when I was going hard at Diego, it was hard for me to kind of disconnect this guy who goes into the octagon and just smashes faces, Diego, with the person outside the octagon, where if those two things are separated, the one outside the octagon is not a worthy adversary. Like, I shouldn't have fucked with him so bad. You know, in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have fucked with him as much as I did in the videos. Now, I don't think I did anything that was super over the top as it relates to Diego, but to me, he is clearly like an innocent victim in this thing. And I broke his balls a little bit in the first couple videos. But it was because I see this guy who's this fucking Mack truck in the octagon, and I can't associate weakness with him because of that. When in reality, if you separate the two things, again, this is not like he's not a person I would normally fuck with, is all. Now, Fabia is 5'1", okay? So what's the inverse of that? I see him as a zero physical threat, okay? I understand, you know, he's got the death punch and all that bullshit, but I would fucking fold that guy into a lawn chair, okay? If you locked me in a cage with that guy, I would kick him in his face and he would die, okay? So part of me is making fun of this guy because I see him as a total non-threat physically, but now, if I just remove the fact that he's this tiny little guy, he is a fucking weasel, man. Like, I don't have the words for it, dude. You know? Like, I've said it, but I was joking. You know, I was like joking around. I mean, I wasn't joking, but like I did it in a joking way. And I'm saying now, after understanding that he's actually legitimately trying to destroy Diego's life and destroy his reputation, he is a piece of fucking shit, okay? Like, not in the ha-ha way. Like, he's a garbage fucking person. And anybody who is associated with him, if you guys think that you're on the good side of this, you are with a fucking lunatic idiot who one day after Diego, ended his relationship with him, he's on a podcast airing all of Diego's fucking shit. Well, apparently not all of it, but enough of Diego's shit out in public that it should make you pause and go, wait, what? That's how you roll? Like, he was your brother 30 seconds ago. And then he says we're split, and then you do him like that the next day, and you guys, this is a guy that you guys want to be associated with? I mean, again, I'm really trying not to throw a bunch of fucking shade at people who are clearly weak-minded and struggling, because no one would be with that little fucking weasel if they weren't. But fuck that guy, okay? Like, take a walk from that guy. And if you need some deprogramming, we can meet up, man. Come hang out with me for a day. Let me talk in your ear a little bit, and then see how much sense that fucking idiot sounds like he's making to you afterwards. So they asked me last night if I would fight Josh Fabia, and I was like, yeah, for sure. I don't think he would take the fight in a million years, but I will just reiterate, I'll take that fucking fight in a heartbeat. Put it on Triller, dude. We could do some weird catch weight shit. If I took, if I did nothing but take Adderall and not eat food for like 3 months, I might be able to make 165 or something. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that's even close. He probably weighs 110 pounds, but that's about as close as I could get, and that's if I just took pills and did not eat food for 3 months. And I would still break every bone in his body. Well, I would probably just kick his teeth in, and then, But yeah, I would feel good about it. I wouldn't. He would be the first tiny person that I've ever gone full throttle on. Because again, not a worthy adversary. Fuck him. The only time I ever got into it, tangent. Only time I ever got into it was someone who was like really, really short like that. A guy threw a beer on me after. This is a long time ago. I literally accidentally bumped into this guy. And I spilled beer on him. It's a complete accident. And I immediately was like, oh man, I'm really sorry. And he's all, no problem, bro. And threw his beer in my face. And I looked at him, and he was so small. I was like, man, I can't punch this little fuck, even though this requires a response. And so I slapped him like a woman. Not that I would slap a woman, but like I slapped him like he was a girl, open hand as hard as I could across his face. So I wasn't going to knock him out. I was just going to humiliate him. So maybe that's what I would do. Maybe I would just slap Josh Fabia, No, I'd probably knock him out. Anyway, so where were we? Oh, right. The other thing about that. Okay. So speaking of his little, his minions, right? So on one of the videos that I did, it was one of the ones where, I think it was the one where I titled it, the conspiracy to murder Diego Sanchez uncovered. Which I think is a hilarious video. But someone comments, right? Like, so his name's Mike Malice, and I'll put the screenshots in here. He's like, or Mike Mallon or something. He's like, and I'm gonna have to do this partially from memory because the screenshots that I got are from the notifications because he ended up deleting the entire thread. Okay, but I have the notifications, so obviously I'll show you. I'm not making this shit up. So basically, he says, "Oh, what are you on Dana's payroll too?" And I was, and he's like, "Biden 2024." I was like, am I on Dana's payroll, Biden 2024? And I was like, so those two things must be disconnected. So I must have said something about Diego being, disloyal to Dana, which prompted the first part, Biden 2024. And I was like, where the hell would that come from? I was like, oh, American flag. I was like, of course. How hilarious is that? That one of these little weasels associated me having an American flag in my background, that automatically assumes that I don't like Biden. I'm like, why don't you think that through, bro? Do you think that, so you're on that side and you think repping a flag for your country means that you're on the opposite team? So, yeah, think about that for a second. I know thinking is fucking hard at the School of Self-Awareness, but think on that and then tell yourself you guys are the good guys. Anywho, and that's not a knock at Biden or Trump, none of that. I'm just saying, just think that through, right? So anyway, so I responded, and I was like, I said, hey, Josh, we can do this thing on Triller anytime. Like, let's just call Jake Paul. Let's set it up. We'll do this thing on Triller. He goes, we could settle it anytime. I was like, oh yeah? I was like, dude, listen, man, let me just put this to you real quick. Why are you doing this from fake accounts? Josh, just do it under your own name. You will have an enormous social media following immediately. Like you have the next like 6 or 7 minutes where people still give a fuck about you. So like I can both break your balls and build my channel on the back of your horse shit. And also I can be the best business advisor that you've ever had. Like I'm telling you, do it under your own name. And the guy responds, this is my name. You want my address too? And I was like, okay. So he goes, are you really trying to tell me that you believe that the Diego and Chiesa fight was a legit fight? How about Robbie Lawler versus Colby Covington, huh? You're telling me that's not a work? And I went, can you go ahead and elaborate what evidence you have that the Robbie Lawler Colby Covington fight was thrown? Like, what's your evidence, right? I can't remember the exact he says another thing, where he thinks he's defending this. Like he doubled down. Robbie Lawler threw the fight against Colby Covington. And I said, again, bud, evidence. What's your evidence of that? I shit you not, as you're going to see in the screenshot, he said, you saw Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald. You're telling me that that's the same fighter? Like the guy that fought Rory McDonald, and look at how he fought against Colby Covington. That's not a work? Okay, so, I mean, obviously that should tell you everything that you need to know. Just like when, what I responded back is I was like, hey, can you explain to me what just illuminate me on what's your association with the School of Self-Awareness? And I'm genuinely asking, okay, if you're not Josh, what's your association with the School of Self-Awareness? Because if I'm genuinely trying to assess if other people share these ideas outside of that social circle. Like, are you a part of the organization or no? And he responded, I'm going to delete this entire thread after this, but think about this, blah, blah, blah. People are mad because people are throwing fights, blah, blah, blah. And then he deleted the entire thread, okay? So as soon as I said, are you associated with the School of Self-Awareness, he deleted the whole thread. It's fucking for sure one of them. It's either Josh or one of these other guys, right? And so, first of all, obviously it should go without saying that Robbie Lawler didn't throw that fight. Like, of course. But just in case one of those fucking idiots watches this video, since you deleted the thread and didn't let me respond now, okay? So if you had any actual experience or had even watched the sport that you supposedly know about closely, you would know that people at certain stages of their career are not the same as at other stages, especially if in the middle of that timeline, they take a hellacious beating, or a couple of those. So like as an example, you brought up the Rory McDonald fight, okay? Now everyone basically considers that top 3 greatest fights of all time. And Rory McDonald literally just, his body collapsed. He couldn't take any more damage. And Robbie Lawler was right there also, okay? Now everyone knows, okay, the body is, look, fighting is basically a highly skilled game of destruction derby, right? Except instead of a car, your car is your body, okay? Plain and simple. Like that is what it is. The brain is basically the engine, okay? And if you chop the engine off and your car stops working, the fucking fight's over, okay? So if you actually think of what the body is built out of, right? It's a car, but it's built, you have a brain, you have a spine, you have nerve endings that come from your brain through your spine, and they deliver messages to the rest of your body, okay? When you get beat down, like you take damage, okay? When you're young, I mean, there are certain levels of damage that you don't heal from, but when you're young, you heal much better. When you get into your mid 30s, late 30s, especially late 30s, early 40s, your body does not heal the same, okay? Does not heal the same. So like, think about, I mean, this is not challenging to understand if you really think about it, okay? Like, so you got a guy who's a fucking Olympic track star. He gets hit by a car and his fucking hip gets completely right? They put him back together. He can walk around normal, but he can never run at an Olympic level ever again because they can never get it exactly right, okay? So think about what you're doing when you're fighting and you're taking tons of facial and neck punishment, right? Like, again, brain, spine, nerve endings, damage to those, okay? Damage to your nerve endings in your head and brain, okay? That is what sends messages to the rest of your body. And you take a beating like that, it doesn't come all the way back. And think about this. He took that beating, then he fought Tyron Woodley, and Tyron Woodley fucking decapitated him. One of the most hellacious knockouts of all time was Tyron Woodley's knockout over Robbie Lawler. And he's in his mid to late 30s at that point, okay? If you think about his performances post where is the same Robbie Lawler from the Rory McDonald fight? He's not there anymore, okay? He's not there. And I mean, Robbie Lawler was literally like the first favorite fighter that I had, like when I first really fell in love with this sport in the early 2000s, Robbie Lawler was my fucking dude. He's the first favorite fighter that I ever had. So like, I'm not talking shit about Robbie Lawler. I'm not even saying that he shouldn't fight, none of that. I'm just saying he is a perfect example of a person who got that part of his, fight instinct beaten out of him, bottom line, okay? And to say that he threw the fight not only is stupid, it's disrespectful and it's a fucking joke, okay? But mostly it's disrespectful, okay? It shows a total ignorance of the sport, shows a complete lack of respect for what people actually give in the octagon. You listen to these fucking guys like that, like Joshua, this guy, about Diego when he's next to you, this guy's bled in the cage, man. This guy's given his life to this fucking company, man. And this company, all he did is take, okay? Weasel. Bullshit. Just words. Because the next thing you do is you accuse a guy who really gave everything, just like Diego, but gave everything in the octagon. And you look at that and you can't connect the dots that that's what you're looking at. You actually convince yourself that what you're looking at is a work. Also, it shows you have no ability to judge other people because Robbie Lawler would never throw a fight, you fucking idiot. He'd be the last guy to throw a fight, okay? His fights after Tyron Woodley, think about the Cowboy Cerrone fight that he won, okay? I actually think Cowboy won that fight. He literally did not fight in the second round. Like he didn't even fight in the second round. It was like, I think he threw like fucking 11 strikes in the second round or something where you were like, what the hell's going on with this guy? He was never the same after that, okay? And I say that out of respect for what he gave to the sport. But I just find the idea that these guys can just throw these accusations around so reprehensible. Like I said, dude, I'm fucking in, man. If they want to put me in the cage with this fucking guy. Look, dude, I have not been consistently training in a long time. Theoretically, you should, dude, you're training every day, right? Like give me 60 days to train. You should be able to fuck me up, dude. And you should be, get your rep back, dog. Do that move where, you slap down their arms and you kind of slide to the side and do one of those. Try that shit on me. See how that goes. I'm telling you, I'm not sandbagging, dude. My training has been light. I haven't done any hard training in years, dude. Not really, well, that's not actually true. I haven't consistently trained hard in years. You should have a massive advantage, dude. So let's do it, dude. Go, prove your worthiness in martial arts. I mean, dude, you have a fucking death punch, man. Anyway, we could kickbox on Triller. We could just box. You could kickbox and I'll just box. How about that? You can have kicks and I don't. I'll just box. You can have kicks. That's how we'll deal with the weight differential. Anyway, but yeah, they're disrespectful. They have no self-awareness, and it's disgusting. Like, I just don't have another word for it. But I want to give props again to Chael for taking the position that he did about that information, and I will double down on that as well. So, I don't know. Fuck these guys. If you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. Peace.